History doesn't whisper on battlefields. It roars in fire, steel, and silence. What you are about to witness isn't just warfare. It's a single moment that shattered the rules and rewrote the war. This is not just a strike. It's an execution, a message, a masterclass in precision warfare, powered by HIMARS. March 2022, the bitter cold of Ukraine's late winter clung to the earth like a shroud. A fragile silence hung over the countryside until it was broken by a low, metallic rumble. Not thunder, not tanks just yet, but something heavier, something history, a convoy, an unimaginably long and seemingly unstoppable force began to appear on satellite footage. 64 kilometers of Russian hardware crawling toward Kyiv. It was the largest military column assembled on European soil since World War II. Tanks, mobile missile launchers, artillery carriers, fuel trucks, supply units, thousands of soldiers packed inside steel beasts, their engines growling with the confidence of certain victory. Military analysts declared Kyiv would fall in 72 hours. Hundreds called it inevitable. Civilians packed into shelters, praying for a miracle. But amid panic, Ukrainian commanders watched. They took notes, they plotted. The convoy wasn't moving quickly. It was slow, lumbering, exposed. It wasn't a threat, not yet. It was a target in waiting. For all its mechanical might, the convoy had a weakness: terrain. Ukraine's countryside, drenched in melted snow and soft spring mud, became the first silent ally. Roads turned into swamps. Tanks got bogged down. Bridges buckled under sheer weight. Convoy vehicles began stacking up like dominoes with nowhere to go. Russian soldiers abandoned their trucks to scavenge food from nearby villages. Fuel supplies dwindled, then disappeared. Communications between convoy segments broke down, creating pockets of stranded, leaderless troops. One by one, engines stalled, not from enemy fire, but from logistical chaos. What had been fearsome symbol of power now looked like a broken parrot frozen in palace. Ukrainian civilians filmed it from balconies and bunkers, confused and amazed. The monster wasn't roaring, it was snoring. While the convoy slept, Ukraine armed itself with a new weapon. Not a tank, not a jet, but precision-guided ghost. HIMARS, the high-mobility artillery rocket system. Small, fast, smart, deadly. It didn't need to be close. It didn't need to be seen. All it needed were coordinates. And from over 80 kilometers away, HIMARS could strike with surgical precision. This wasn't warfare. It was code execution. Input data, confirm target, fire, vanish. Drones fed HIMARS live coordinates. Satellites mapped movement. Partisans smuggled field intelligence through encrypted texts. When the first strike came, it was like lightning from clear sky. No warning, no roar of jets, just the sudden, terrifying explosion of a fuel truck. Then another and another. Within minutes, the convoy's lifelines, fuel, ammo, comms were in flames. Russian soldiers panicked, some fled, others huddled in silence, waiting for a second strike. But HIMARS was already gone. Ukraine didn't just aim for the metal, they aimed for the might. The convoy wasn't attacked randomly, it was dissected. HIMARS went for the arteries, fuel trucks to freeze mobility, ammo carriers to silence the guns, command vehicles to severe orders. It wasn't about destroying everything. It was about disabling everything, like cutting the wires inside a bomb. HIMARS took apart the convoy from the inside. Each hit was strategic. Each pause between strikes calculated to breed paranoia. Every moment too quiet became a psychological weapon. Russian troops began moving at night, only to be tracked by heat signatures. Convoy commanders ordered decoys. Ukraine ignored them and hit the real ones. The convoy was still 30 kilometers from Kyiv, but in strategic terms, it was already defeated. The convoy's destruction wasn't just military operation. It was cinematic war sequence played out in real time. Ukrainian drones filmed the unfolding catastrophe. Fireballs lit up the frozen countryside. Aerial shots captured the vast scale of the destruction. Lines of brake smoke stretching beyond the horizon. These images flooded global media. Twitter exploded with satellite images. TikTok showed HIMARS launches and Russian retreats in 30-second clips. The world couldn't look away. Ukraine wasn't just fighting back, it was telling a story, and every image said the same thing. The giant had fallen. No empire crumbles from a single blow. It decays from within. After the HIMARS strike, Russian soldiers faced something they were not trained for: confusion. Reports flooded in from field commanders unsure of where to go, what to defend, what remained intact. Radio silence haunted the airwaves. Reinforcements were delayed or redirected. Anti-units disappeared. Troops began discarding uniforms, blending into villages, surrendering out of fear rather than injury. The myth of Russian invincibility collapsed. In its place was silence, snow and smoke. The world had assumed size wins war. HIMARS proved otherwise. Ukraine wasn't operating with massive battalions or fleets of jets. It had a handful of systems, smart command chains, and digital eyes everywhere. And it turned that into dominance. Analysts compared the HIMARS strategy to the sniper fighting a charging bear. One clean shot, not 1,000 bullets. Ukraine showed that knowing where and when to strike mattered more than how hard. It wasn't just a lesson in tactics. It was a new doctrine. Western military academies began rewriting strategy papers. NATO generals praised Ukraine's coordinated use of drones, satellites, and HIMARS as the future of defense. Countries that once relied on tanks began investing in mobile artillery and real-time intelligence networks. Poland ordered dozens of HIMARS units. Finland reconfigured its rapid strike doctrines. Even global powers like India and Japan began consultation to modernize their arsenals. Ukraine wasn't just defending its land, it was redefining how the world would fight. What made HIMARS terrifying wasn't just its impact, but its invisibility. Unlike tanks, it didn't roar. Unlike jets, it didn't need to fly overhead. It struck from a void, then vanished. HIMARS launchers operated in pairs, often hidden under camouflage nets or inside civilian warehouses. After each strike, they changed location. Some were seen only once on satellite footage, before disappearing again. For Russian troops, it felt like fighting a phantom. No sound, no trail, just jet from nowhere. Behind every HIMARS strike was an orchestra of coordination. Local scouts risked their lives to feed information. Each team relayed coordinates to encrypted apps. Drone pilots hovered in freezing air for hours. Analysts confirmed patterns. General approved strikes within minutes. Every strike was a miracle of human-machine synergy. It wasn't just technology, it was trust. From tanks to satellites, Ukraine's war machine functioned like a single, thinking mind. And HIMARS was the finger that pulled the trigger. Captured Russian soldiers described the strike within 100 eyes. We didn't know where it came from, one confessed. Another admitted he abandoned his post after 3 trucks vanished in smoke. Ukrainian soldiers, by contrast, carried quiet pride. They spoke of HIMARS not as machine, but as savior. Many saw its precision as a morale upgrade. To war. No stray bombs, no wasted fire, just justice, one missile at a time. The United Nations, NATO, and EU all convened emergency meetings following the HIMARS success. What Ukraine had done was not just damage a convoy, it had embraced a superpower. Russia's aura of dominance was gone. Their failure became a case study. HIMARS entered textbooks. Military cadets were tested on its capabilities. Weapons manufacturers rushed to copy or counter it. In one brutal, silent campaign, Ukraine had altered the balance of military innovation. Not all stories of HIMARS were explosions. Many were measures restraint. In several instances, Ukraine called off strikes due to civilian proximity. One strike was delayed 18 hours to ensure a school bus left the area. This wasn't just a PR strategy. It was national ethic. Ukraine understood that victory built on blood alone would cost its all. HIMARS allowed them to fight with surgical accuracy, and they wielded that power with deliberate care. The success of HIMARS wasn't just in rockets, it was in minds. Ukraine generals didn't just follow orders, they rewrote doctrine in real time. Every move was calculated, every delay had purpose, every silence has meaning. They were not just commanders, they were tacticians, visionaries. In a war of noise, they led with quiet precision, and the world took notice. In Ukraine cities, HIMARS became more than military tech. It became a folk hero. Graffiti in Kharkiv showed a cartoon HIMARS slaying dragons. Children named their toy robots after it. Volunteers wore badges shaped like its rockets. Songs were written, books published, statue proposed. In a war so full of grief, HIMARS became a rare symbol of power and control. It gave the people something to believe in, something that fought back. In villages once shaken by explosions, children now draw pictures of HIMARS launchers. Grandfathers speak of the strike like it was folklore. Songs echo on underground stations. Artists turn missiles into murals. This isn't just memory, it's myth-making. Ukraine didn't just survive, it created a legend, one that will be told long after the smoke clears. The convoy never reached its destination, not because it was weak, but because it was outdated. What stopped it wasn't size or brute force. It was strategy, silence, and 6 cold, calculated rockets. In those flames, Ukraine didn't just destroy its machines. It lit a beacon. For every small nation with a big enemy, for every strategist facing giants, HIMARS showed that future belongs to the precise, dedicated to the unseen, and to those who never got to return. What we saw wasn't just a victory, it was a warning. That is this new era. The battlefield listens. It remembers the world where giants fell is still there, charred, silent, scared, sacred. It tells a story not just of missiles and metal, but of minds that refuse to bow, of courage in shadows, of fire guided by purpose. This is more than history, it's legacy, and it's only just begun. If this story moved you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to our channel for more untold moments, hidden truths, and stories that shape the world. Like, share, remember, because history isn't over, it's happening now.